it's JC. Welcome to Urban Knife Guy, where we explore the urban lifestyle and jungle survival. In a previous video, I shared a tour of our secret bushcraft camp. And in this video, I thought I'll share our experiences building it and specifically the tools we use to create the various projects. So if you intend to build bushcraft projects or a camp, this video might help. I'll also share some of our challenges and problem-solving methods that we did in order to make your life easier if you do something like this. Well, let's get to the camp and let's get started. Here's a quick overview of the various tools and pieces of equipment that we use to build our bushcraft camp. I'll go through in detail each of them and why I felt they're important for our bushcrafting project needs. And it's really not a lot of gear. You don't need a lot of gear, but I think you do need some gear in order to make your life easy. Of course, you could just go in with a single parang or hatchet and build everything from there, because you can build tools and various contraptions using that main knife or that main tool to build a shovel, to build different things that you need. You can even make cordage out of palm trees or various roots. But if you want to make your life easier and at the same time keep things natural, I think these are the things that will help you out. All right, let's start off with the gloves over here. If you have crocodile skin for hands, you will not need gloves. But if you have George Costanza-like hands like myself, you need to keep those model good looks and you need some gloves. This is to protect yourself from calluses and blisters. Whatever gloves you think works best for you will work depending on your climate. And this really helps, especially when you're working with tools over an extended period of time, or just clearing brush or picking up pieces of wood in order to process. Now we come to tools. Here are my basic cutting tools. So I have two saws, and the reason is I always carry this pocket boy from Silky Saw. This is the Outback edition, 170 millimeters long. It's always on my bushcraft belt. Now this will work for light bushcrafting and just my general needs. However, when it came to building a camp, with the wood that we're processing in terms of the amount as well as the thickness, then we definitely needed the big boy, and that's why I have this. It's 360 millimeters. We've got really big piece of wood that we did cut through, so it's really important. It basically cuts much better because it's longer, it's more efficient, you use less energy, and of course for bigger diameter logs you will need a larger cutting tool. But I'll never carry this for hikes or regular bushcraft. Now in terms of the main blades, I actually didn't include a fixed blade over here, and the reason is why I carried the fixed blade, I hardly used it in the building of this bushcraft camp. In fact, I used the parang most of all. This is Grade 1-2 option. It's the Village Shandong from my parang, and this really just cuts everything from wood to cordage and anything I might need, including clearing the brush in order to make space for certain builds. And for a multi-tool, I use the Leatherman rebar. I still feel that at this price range, this particular multi-tool is the best for bushcraft, but you can debate me on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So I use this not just for the cutting blade for really fine tasks, but the pliers to help tighten items or to untighten items or just to get to small spaces. So those are my main cutting tools, and to support the splitting of wood and just various pounding in of stakes, then I have a mallet. Now you of course could just use any piece of wood, but if you're building a camp and you're going to be using it a lot, then you might as well fashion something that will be comfortable with. So we've got a handle over here and we've got the mallet, and this has lasted months already, so that's pretty good. Over in this corner, I have a tarp. Now this tarp was really used as a temporary shelter when it rained or if it got really sunny. Now we weren't really worried about the sun too much. This is a jungle, so there's a lot of canopy cover, but it will rain, so we would set up a tarp if needed just to shelter during the builds, because we will be out here for quite a long time each session, so we definitely needed some kind of shelter. Now let's move on over here. So more tools. We have the Glock E2, which is basically a tactical shovel, but really it's just a collapsible shovel, very lightweight but very effective, and we use that for a fire pit, digging trenches and clearing out areas as well. Over here I have a Husqvarna 13-inch hatchet. You might be thinking, if I have a hatchet, why do I need a parang, and vice versa? That's what I thought as well, but actually we did use the hatchet to split really large pieces of wood and to process them down for the bench. We could not do it with the parang, even with a heavy duty parang. So this would be I would say a medium weight parang. We have a heavy duty parang. It could not get the job done, but the hatchet could. So I underestimated the importance of a hatchet in the jungle, but it really was necessary in terms of the builds we did. Now, if you aren't working with very large pieces of wood, and I'm talking about thick diameters, then you probably could get away with just your saw and a parang. But anything that is large, I would say maybe even 6 to 8 inches in diameter or more, hatchet would definitely help. Over here is a simple canvas bag. You might be thinking, why is this needed? Well, we collected rocks for the fire pit, and the best way to carry it will not be one at a time, but to collect them in a bag. And this is also useful for just carrying dirty items around. To have a bag like that can be very useful. It's really cheap, inexpensive, don't spend much, but it can just help you move things around in the camp. And finally, various thicknesses, diameters of natural cordage. And I have both manila rope and manila rope and jute rope. And I have both manila rope and jute rope over here. So this is manila rope and this is jute rope, basically different plants but both natural fibers. And I can tell you now from experience, definitely go with the jute rope. It is much more pliable. It's not as rough. I feel that it absorbs water better and tightens up over time. So I did try both just to see, which will work better. As a scout, I always worked with manila rope, and it's probably because it is cheaper and it's more accessible in this part of the world. But jute rope is actually a better choice. So if you are going to get cordage, get jute rope. Now, we didn't really use much synthetic cordage like paracord or bank line or nylon string, and the reason is we want to keep everything natural for the look, and also we'll be using a lot of cordage, and I guess we just wanted something more organic to mesh with the background and just feel more like a natural campsite. So here's a quick look at some of the things that we use to cut the wood. Now you can see this is my working stump and my sitting stump, and that's pretty big. So we're talking about 8 inches in diameter, and we definitely needed the big boy to saw these, and we've got a couple of these around camp. Here we have a work table, and you can see it's made out of wood that we cut, and then we use this fallen tree as the other support leg. So again, using the environment and just building our workstation on top of it. And here we had to process the wood, and then we use manila rope here to tie off all the different points to keep it secure. Here's the 4-legged stand that is used as a gear holder and stand, and really this is just 1-inch pieces of wood cut, formed into a form of a table, and then using jute rope to tie off everything just to hold everything in place. And this can be carried around camp so that we can place it at different parts in order to work. Here's our rec area and cook area, and that's my buddy who's processing some wood. This is our fire pit over here. Those are the rocks that I talked about where we carried them from a distance, and that's why we needed the canvas bag. We've got a tripod lashing over here, and we've got our bench cum table, a 2-in-1 design. But you can see it uses a really thick piece of wood, and this is really a log that comes from the same tree where we cut the stumps from, and it was really thick. And then we had to cut off the top to form this bench top, and that's where the axe came in. Without the axe, there's no way we could do this. And then over here we lashed together more poles to form our countertop, which is also our eating table if needed. If not, it's just a gear rest. And then we've got pack holders on the trees as well. I hope you enjoyed this video on the gear and tools that we use to build this bushcraft camp. Have you built a camp that's similar to this, or maybe you built projects and used your own tools as well? What tools did you use? Is there anything that could have made my life easier? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.